Call the meeting of Borough West Easton order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Dave.
Mr. James.
Here.
Mr. Dees.
Here.
Mr. Lewis. Here. Mr. Romano. Here. Mr. Bolash. Here. Ms. Lake. Mr. Breidinger. Here. Mr. Coe.
All right, we have one. Approval of payments. Need a motion to approve general fund checks 17,135 through 17,186.
I'll make a motion.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of online payments from the general fund payment. We're labeling them X001 through X003. Motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Debit account payments. The list is from, the list of debit account payments from April 1st to May 10th. List is on our billing page. Need a motion to approve debit account payments.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Any discussion? And then all in favor say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Finally, approvals checks 2078 through 2081 sewer fund account. Motion to approve.
Oh, that's wrong. It's actually 2082 to 2083.
2082 to 2083.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on checks? Check number 2082 and 2083. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. All right, approval of deposits and receipts for April of 2019. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Seeing none, all.
Actually, yeah, what's the sewer fees penalties are from the residents hanging in, or is that our penalty?
No,
$550.
it's received from, where are you seeing that at?
Sewer revenue account.
Oh, yeah, that's from the borough residents.
That was it.
That would be 55 people that would be.
Late fees.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of the minutes from April 8, 2019 council meeting. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion on meeting minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of treasurer's report for April 2019.
Make a motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion, treasurer's report? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Public comment? Open for public comment. Your name, your rank, serial number.
Yeah, it's 1206 Second Street. I'd like to know what's going on with that sidewalk up there. You told me 3 months ago that you were going to try to solve the problem where the water's coming down. Now, it's getting worse and worse every time it rains. Now, I don't know what you're waiting for, but that problem's got to be solved.
I talked to a private contractor, and he looked at it, and all we have to do is get council's approval, or try to figure out what they want to do to fix the problem.
That's the problem where the water's originated. I have 6 slabs down there that are really bad because of the water that's undermining. Down there where the handicap ramp is, it's down where the water goes into the yard instead of out in the street. It's going down, it's wiping out all the dirt there alongside the handicap ramp. You gotta do something up there. And I know Mr. D says you're not gonna replace the sidewalk. I'm gonna tell you right now, if somebody falls and they come to my house, I'm gonna be saying, you hold the Earl and contractors, you must go out, you'll get a bigger payoff than you can get from me.
Well, you know what the problem is, Leon? I rode around looking at tried to find out all the properties that had rain spouts that came out on their sidewalk and ran. There's a lot of rain spouts that drain on sidewalks.
Sure.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
And I don't know legally, can we do anything about it legally? That's something that I have to ask the solicitor.
Well,
But I understand your problem.
Well, I didn't have water problem before they did the work up there. That's the problem. It's not the problem with the curb or the rain spout. Because if you have 500 houses in West Easton, I'll guarantee you probably have at least 450 or more where the rain spout goes out. Now you're going to have everybody change it? I mean, they created the problem when they did that curb. If they would have put the curb down the way it was supposed to be, and not as high as they did, I wouldn't have the valley where the water's running down my sidewalk. Even with that curb sidewalk not cut out up there, that water still would have went out there if the curb was down where it belongs. But
Yeah,
once you get up above there, you have probably 4 inches of curb. You go down to my house, you got 8 or 9 inches of curb.
I understand your problem, Leon. Council has to make a decision if they want to pay somebody to do it, take legal action, solicitor's advice. I know there was a problem on 5th Street where the old Polish club rainwater used to run in the wintertime on the neighbor's property, and they had to come out and salt it. And I think one of your neighbors has to salt a lot in the wintertime when it freezes.
Because the water doesn't go out in the street.
Right. And they had the same problem on 5th Street at the old Polish club,
I mean,
near the old Polish club.
this has been going on, coming up on close to 2 years now. And you still haven't solved the problem.
Now, do you have you mentioned us about calling your own contractor. Do you have somebody in mind that
No.
can do this?
No,
No? Okay.
I know a guy, but a bond would be pretty expensive.
Oh, okay.
May I interject here? And I can verify this, it's not only Leon's that has a problem with that water, but it's also the Deeses next door to him.
Yeah.
They have the same problem.
And it comes from one house above him.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
I apologize, we were way too long with this.
I think if the solicitor wants to make a comment, he can do it now or in executive session.
Executive session would be more sense.
Hi, Bill Smith from 93 Napa Main Street, West Easton. And it's about the laundromat over here. I had to stop at Modelin's old place to pick up something, and the wife says, come run to the window. And Holmes came out like that. And I came right over to the mayor, I don't know if the door was open, where the stuff, it was all clogged up and the door was open. And big chunks were coming out. Yes, over in that chicken coop. And it's still open now.
It is open now.
When are they gonna do something to tell them to fix it properly?
I thought they did.
Well, Joe was by this afternoon and told him he has to keep that door closed, and he should be cleaning it at least
It's,
every day.
listen, the door can be closed. Go stand over it, it's still coming out. And Friday, they're cutting on East Street, a garage or something going in there. Are they gonna load and unload laundry there?
Joe said he looked at it, and he said there's always been 2 garage doors there. He wasn't sure what we were talking about.
Right on East Street.
Right.
They just put a header on and it's about 9 foot long.
This is, Joan, I went up and looked today, this is in the middle of the building above a window. It looks like they put either a steel beam in there,
Yeah,
and it looks like they're gonna put some kind of a chute in there, I think.
They don't have a permit.
They have a couple different ones over there, and one that has something to do with garage doors.
So I don't interrupt, it has nothing to do with the 2 bay doors in the back. This is in the middle of the block.
Well, I told him it was right off of East Street from what Bill had said.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in the middle of the building going up East Street.
now when the state was in the checking, if it was an exit supposed to be put in there, why didn't zoning catch that before they let them go in there? I think the problem they're having with all the industry is zoning. Because they come up and ask questions, nobody knows the question. The zoning man should be at every meeting. You can't get no answer. I've been complaining about that how long now? And the trees are down.
Okay, to interrupt you, but all that down there is on the council. Zoning has nothing to do with that building down there. Everything that's been passed by this council, not the zoning board.
Leon, no, you don't have it correctly, you don't have it correctly.
Yes, I do.
When they come and ask for a permit to do something in the middle of a building on East Street, they file an application for a permit. It goes to zoning,
Not to the zoning.
Not the
Yes, it
zoning
does.
board. No, not the zoning board.
or not the zoning board, the zoning office.
Thank you.
That's what we're talking, we're not talking about the zoning, when we say zoning, we're talking about the zoning officer.
Well, did he get back to you and say it's gonna be for an exit? Or they're gonna enter there, or they're gonna load trucks or unload?
No, Leon, I mean, Bill, I think what I'm looking at, when I looked up today, is a header
Yeah,
that was cut out, the bricks were cut out,
Yeah.
the header was put in there, it looked like a steel beam for a laundry chute that might have a hook on it. Back in the old days, remember how they used to come out of a building? I don't think it's gonna be an entrance. It's not, that header is not big enough.
Well, then there are gonna be big trucks parked there, loaded.
Yeah, from the side doors.
When they got how many entrance ways?
This is, see, I didn't know about this until you came in this afternoon.
Yeah.
And I asked Joan about a permit, and I guess they did get a permit.
They have several out right now. And one of them was for garage doors, but you're saying that you don't think it's there, it could be from, that could be on the other side. I did ask him about what you said, it looked like they were putting a garage in. And he said there was already 2 there. It does not look to him like it was a 3rd one.
Well, this is on the side, it's being done.
It's on the side of the building.
But I told him it was right off of East Street.
I mean, he knows he's wrong with the trees, how long do you give him? Who's in charge? Hey, 90?
We sent them
Well, when, that was in when?
we sent them a violation note, our engineer sent them a violation notice. So we just have to let it take its course.
How long is that take? Well, the trees they're not up
Well,
yet.
and it's probably gonna take a while to get them back up there too.
Let me add one more thing, though. If this council and myself are not satisfied with the zoning officer, council can make a change.
I think they should. He's not informing you what that is. I come up to get information. Well, he's got 2 garage doors, and nobody even knows to give you an answer what he's doing there. He just does what he wants to do.
Are they supposed to have plans submitted with those permits? I know
For the
put
bigger
my
stuff.
shed up, I have plans.
And each one of you should have it. He should be at this meeting right now. I don't even know the zoning man. Especially with an industry like that there.
I mean, if it's something that he can do and he can run and he can approve, and if it's within the regulations, then he should be able to approve that, albeit from us, because it just grinds. If you want us to micromanage that project, he looks at the contract, verifies that everything is within code, and then he gives them approval. If they don't approve it, then it goes to the zoning board for variance. So if it's approved, then it's approved. We may not know about every single contract or project unless they're in violation or something. He cut down the trees because, he was doing something with the
He
sign.
broke his violation. Shut him down. You got 90 days to put trees in. You put them up there, we're gonna fine you $500 a day.
And I told you today, when they shut down the laundromat, he worked right through it, and when we went up together, said it was okay. So they're shutting it down, and then there's having it work.
Well, then, the lawyer gotta step in and on it. He can't just do what he wants. I've been complaining about the same 3 things. The noise is all right now. But, you gotta get things done. I don't wanna keep coming up complaining, and I come up to you and you don't have the answers on
I don't have all of them, but I talked to Joe today about that, and he said it doesn't look like there's a garage going in, but he didn't say furthermore what it was.
them. Well, when the trucks are getting loaded up with something, then what? It's too late. Somebody should know what he's doing.
Is Joe gonna come up and inspect what they did so far?
I know he stopped over before he stopped in this afternoon. He was here, about 20 minutes, updating us on all the different things, and I asked him specifically about that.
What did he say about
He
Easton?
said there's always been 2 doors there, and it did not, there was not putting in a 3rd one.
Who is Joe, may I ask?
He's our
Inspector,
he's our
zoning guy.
inspector or
He
engineer.
didn't see the work being done going up East Street?
Yeah.
It's on East Street. They're all windows there. And he grinded all out, you can see the dust and everything.
Like I said, I can only tell you, he said it didn't look like he was putting in another garage, because that's what he said to me. It looked like he was putting a garage in, and I asked him that, and he said no, that there was 2 doors there already.
Joe, do you have the application for that permit?
Probably not at my fingertips, no.
I'd like to look and see if they gave you a drawing or their plans for that.
Yeah, some of the stuff
Header
has
that
big,
they
big
put in.
plans, some's just a little paper.
I closed in a porch 30 years ago and they had to come down and approve it and look at everything.
Yeah. When you put in for a permit, you usually have to give a detailed sketch of what you're doing. So we'll have
I
to.
mean, evidently you just don't know what's going on with it.
Well,
If
that's-
zoning's taking care of
And
it.
then there's, we're limited as to what we can do. Plus, we have nobody to enforce that anyway, but we're limited to what we can do. It's just a matter of us, sending them violations and following up with that.
What table does it, who do you call to see when the trees are gonna go in?
So, what I said before, we sent them a notice, they were in violation.
And 2 days later, you cut the other ones down up higher.
So,
He probably didn't notify that, but he wouldn't have cared.
so then, we let that run its course, and then we go to the next step.
We have to give them time to respond, and then we'll approach we approach the solicitor and decide what we're gonna do, because if it goes to legal action, it goes, but that's something that has to be discussed in executive session. How much time do we give them to respond? Is it enough time now? This stuff doesn't turn around in 30
Am I the
days.
only one that sees that mess blowing out?
No, and I've seen it too, and I'm the one that called DEP the first time, and they were pretty responsive. They came down here in a week and solved it the first time. I only became aware that door opened today. If I have to call DEP again, I will. That guy was very
It's
responsive.
open right now, it's open.
That guy was very responsive. He said if there's another problem, he'll give him a call, and this time he'll cite him. Last time, they fixed it, he let him go, but he told him any more problems, he'll be back. So we'll give him a call tomorrow.
And last time,
Probably not a call, we have to actually go online and put in a complaint, which filters to him.
it just don't work. You can go over there, when he cleans it out, it's still blowing out. It
I-
comes out so fast that it clogs up.
I agree with you. We'll get in touch with DEP again, because they responded pretty well last time.
He's trying to replace the large dryer with a bunch of smaller ones, because he's having a lot of trouble with that one, so. They're trying, to do something.
That's been since summer, in July.
Yeah, but he only just, after Christmas is when he said about getting the big one up. we've taken the big one out and putting little ones in dryers.
It's at 10 to 2, the woman told me, run to the, I went out the window, there was chunks flying out. It don't work.
Well, did you call here? I mean, we can call him up and
I don't talk to him no more, because I went in there 3 times and he's nothing but a bullshitter.
call the office
Yeah,
and say there's chunks blowing out so we can address it.
I saw him there.
Bill normally stops in if there's an issue.
And we did talk to Joe about today. He did talk, Vinny wasn't there, his mother wasn't there, but he told the girl that was there, that door has to be shut and stuff should not be flowing out it. So if it still is, then there again, we can cite him again, but what happens down the road, I don't know.
Well, when we contact, we'll get our guy on it too, but let's contact the DEP. You'll have to fill out a complaint form with the air quality section. They have all different kinds of sections with DEP. And I know that guy will get it within a couple of days. And he was down in a few days after the first one, so.
And that was based on lint coming out, right? So it's-
That was just on the lint being blown out, not a door open, but chunks of it coming out.
Just big.
Yeah, so we'll contact
They were
DEP
flying.
too.
And I came right over, came right over, and the mayor was scared.
Yeah, and I'm not happy about that place either, but we have to
just
go
be
through,
getting away with stuff that.
we have to go through
You're
a
exactly right,
process.
you're exactly right. And
Well,
it's frustrating.
As far as East Street goes, I want to look at the plans. If I'm not satisfied with what I'm looking at, I'll make a call. I'm not afraid to call.
I mean, the first he was gonna rip the old building down, it's been down there how long? He hates bad publicity. That's the only reason he said, yeah, we'll move it. He's got bulldozers on the railroad tracks. I think he just does what he wants to do.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
thank you.
Hello, my name is Connie Bolbash, and I'm here because I heard that you might be interested in a volunteer to help with the police department, getting it set up doing clerical functions. And I'd like to, I guess you don't apply to be a volunteer. I'm volunteering myself if you want me. I have a background in, well, most of my jobs were confidential in nature, so you don't have to worry about that. And I was a secretary and office manager. So I have a lot of experience in typing, data entry, filing, running to Staples, anything. So if you guys, if anyone needs help with the setting up the police station or helping get everything started and just working, I will volunteer for
I
that.
have no problem with volunteers myself, but
Volunteers?
that's the guy back there that you could use some help. Or you got it all handled.
I'd be foolish to say no. I've done that for 40 years, it doesn't work. Yes, it will be helpful very soon, actually, I think. So,
Okay, well, I'm Connie Bolbash, I'm Dave's wife, just in case you didn't know that.
thank
Okay. Okay, well, we're getting into worse then. Dave will give you our phone number, do you want me to give it to you? And then you can just call me, or just give it to Dave then, because I'm gonna do everything after I speak. So, thank you, and then
Thanks.
talk to me and we'll,
Yeah, thank
Do we need a motion to accept Mrs. Bolash as a volunteer?
Sure, just to have it reflected in the records.
I'll make the motion.
Any more discussion?
no.
From the other council members. Well, thanks for coming forward.
Okay.
Just one
All in
thing,
favor?
I have volunteered at St. Luke's Hospital and Mary Windsor Library, and I did have all my clearances, but that was about 4 years ago, so do I need to have clearances again? I
Just,
think they expire at some point.
just,
I think after a certain point, we should discuss that, that's probably.
Yeah,
Um,
I know for the school it's 3 years, I think, or something.
I think after a certain point, it's gonna be required that once it's totally in motion, but even before that, maybe we should discuss that, you know, in general, safety committee or. It'll be, I think it would save some, you know, possible litigation.
Sure.
Somebody says something later on down the line.
Yeah, I would feel better if we did that. I'll pass, by the way.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I say it.
Okay, thank you. So
Thank you.
just
Thank you. To accept her as a volunteer.
That's it.
Well, we're gonna allow you.
I'm just gonna give them my resume. Does anybody else want a copy of it? No?
Joe's gonna copy it.
Okay. Oh, here. I have 3, so take the 3 then, and then we can share them, okay?
Robert, give Joan a copy.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Any more public comment? On engineers report? Office report?
Okay, that's the paper I handed out, as Austin ends this whole comment. Starts April 15th, it's Desiree's resignation.
Okay. So in here, you have Desiree's resignation on the top of the paper that Joan gave you. As Desiree would like to tender resignation as West Easton Borough Council person effective. Need a motion to approve the, to accept the resignation of Desiree Lake.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion?
For discussion, we don't actually have to approve it.
Right, we don't actually have to approve it.
Correct. We have, at the end of a certain amount of time, 30 days, I believe, it's automatically accepted. And then from that day, we have 45 days to start looking for something. We don't have to approve it now, we'll start the 45-day clock.
If you accept it now, the clock will start.
Clock starts running, correct.
We have 45 days or something and a half to replace her too, so. She submitted this.
Council has 30 days. The selection
Selection
committee
committee is 45 days. So she tendered a resignation on the 15th. We will have a motion and a second to accept it today. We have, everybody understands we have 30 days to replace Desiree. If not, it goes to selection board. They have 45 days to accept. If not, then our county council will appoint somebody.
So we'll have, next meeting June 10th, if we accept it, we'll have next meeting June 10th to appoint someone.
Appoint somebody too, so. Everybody understand? Okay, Leon?
I said maybe I have to call Trish, give her a second chance.
Sounds not funny.
That's a joke.
Really isn't.
Okay, I need motion to, or I'm sorry, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
5-1, thanks, Steve. All right, ayes have it.
We'll put that on the website.
The clock starts.
30 days.
The clock will start, and what I'll do is, I know I've reviewed this before and sent you a letter. Unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me, so I'll dig that up and tell you what the exact time periods are. So everyone has it, the next couple of days.
So we need a replacement, so hopefully by our next meeting, we can have a couple of nominations or applicants, and we can vote for. All right, what else, Joe?
I'm updating the casino grant. With interest, we now have $31,468.32 to spend. So far, we've spent $17,650. Rob, did you know some big numbers, or?
Wait, so far you spent what?
Computers?
Do you have like 13,000?
I do, it's a little, well, it'll work out well above that, but
Well, that's what we need.
one is, you need that number above it, or really close, it'll work
Well,
out.
it's better if it's above, because then,
We don't leave any money on the table.
right.
What day is the last day for that?
May 30th.
Yeah, but everything has to be sent out,
I
not
have
clear.
12,467 for just the computers. We could put down a little bit, but 12,467, I got to knock like 3,000 off of it. But that's just, that doesn't include, the uniforms or tasers, so we
Well,
easily.
the uniforms don't count towards this grant, because they're personal,
They do or don't?
don't.
What about
But-
tasers? They're
But
not,
like
they're
the
personal?
ammunition, the guns,
That's fine, I'll put it
all
over.
that stuff, so you can do that by the end of the month,
I can do that by the end of the week.
by the end of the week, okay, that would be phenomenal.
Is he ready to take a check for the equipment?
He is. I spoke to him today. I have like 5 meetings today and tomorrow. Well, 2 already and 5 tomorrow regarding just this. So, but he's willing to, the nice thing about this is universally wise, the computer, I know where it was for something, this will cover no matter what we go with. So that was my goal there, so no matter what, like if we use an RMS or we don't, it still will.
Whatever program is being used.
Right, and it took till this week, till 4 hours after him giving me that answer. But it was, nobody else could give me that answer at all.
And Robbie, I'm sorry, but I didn't hear you.
He said 12.
12,467.
Thank you.
He has that written as a solid number, but it could be obviously different.
And then you had other stuff in there. How much we got left in it, John?
$13,818, and there might be a little bit more interest.
So at least 1,400.
Oh,
14,000, yeah.
Well,
No, that's.
I'll make a motion to approve the 13,000.
For computers?
Well, no, he's got other stuff too. so.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can go with the 13 anyway, because the county now has a deal for MDTs, which you could actually use in the car, not just sit on station. They can be used in the car if you need another 400. Which is
Okay.
actually amazing.
So not to exceed $13,000 for computers.
14.
14.
You get the 13,818.
and if you price camera, you know what I'm talking about?
I did, I have that as well. I'm a little surprised. This would be just on the person.
Right.
And those are, I'm just throwing this, I think it's like 3,000 for 2. You go with one,
Prove that too.
it's 1,500 or so for one. That puts you above. I have that in front of me as well.
And there's also this, which is okay for the grant too, the proposal for 2 cameras to the building. One would be on the new park, and then one would be the back alley here, because we have no borough hall protection this way, if you will. So that can also go. My goal is to put in 35, that way if something is rejected. I've gotten permission on everything I have on the paper so far, so I don't see a problem, but I'm always worried.
Well, that alone will take it over then, just those 2 items.
Well, the cameras can be one motion and,
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I mean, the security cameras can be one, motion and
Does everybody
the
get this?
computers and the body cameras can be another.
Let's, we need a motion to approve this proposal for $1,230 for 2 cameras.
Oh, I'll make a motion. 1,200 for security cameras, 2 security cameras to cover the park.
All right, a second?
Second, yeah.
All right, any discussion?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who the second motion. Wait a second, sorry, Dave. Thank you.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Now we have 14,000 for computer system for the police department.
And that company is C-Scott Computer Services, and they service 2 other police departments, one being Academy. And the nice thing about that, if I can throw this in as a side note, a lot of places, even the places that service here, charge like $500, I'm just making guess, it's actually low, like $500 a month service fee. He does not charge any at all unless you need them, and the most he's ever charged Stockertown. They said the most they've ever got a bill for was, I'm sorry, that's the Stockertown, I'm sorry, Academy, $125. If it's something you call him, he can do it on his own. He hasn't charged at all. If it's something he can make remotely, if somebody has to come in and actually put some time into it, but he's very friendly. We met him at C. Scott's Computer Services, and they have Academy, 35 South 7th Street, Academy address.
All right, let me ask you this. If you approve up to, say, 14,000, that's fine for the grant, but do you want to approve more so he can get everything else he needs, which would come out of the police fund?
We were gonna chunk it so that we get lights.
14,000.
14,000 for the
Okay.
computer and the camera.
Okay.
So you're over the amount anyway, right there. You're covered, right?
Yeah, but you said You had some other items?
I do, and we can table that for, some of that anyway for discussion because of the price difference. There's some that are go with the taser company. They have tasers and they have the camera. There's other cameras that are cheaper. It's really a matter of,
Well, again, we need to be able to commit these funds by the end of the month.
Well, we got the grant funds covered.
All right.
You're gonna spend the 14,000 by the end of this week,
yes,
right?
yeah. I'll just make sure that we're not, well, computers are covered almost all of that, but
Okay,
the other one was the camera on the building. That's
yeah, that would be it, right,
so that covers the rest of the remaining up to 14,000, wasn't it?
right.
So I really don't have to.
But I'd like to get a little bit more, just in case something gets rejected. Even though it was approved,
Okay.
it's government, and it
Okay,
sometimes...
the taser would be the most, as long as that's approved by the safety committee, I think it's necessary.
Mhm.
We're only talking about one or two.
Yeah, definitely.
It's actually, the way I use it, it keeps, it's the next step above hands, but it's less than lethal.
And how much are the tasers?
They're expensive, they're more expensive than a gun, but they're about anywhere, and we could just go with 2 guns that would cover it as well, or 3, just to cover that right at the bat, but otherwise, they're like $1,500 for the whole. There's a program that goes with it, there's a download, the DA requires that you want to download it if you have a use of it, so they're about $1,500 a piece.
For a taser?
You don't need
And
to.
you need 2?
I would say you need 2 at the most.
You have to remember,
They're shared items.
But that's good, because that's a non-violent,
from the,
Less than lethal, they call
less
it.
than lethal, right?
that money can come from the $1,250, $500 they got from the DA's office.
We don't have to,
But,
we don't take money out now. We need the money for the grant, everything
yeah,
else is
well,
just
if
in
he
general.
runs into something that he can buy, you know, want him to come back
Oh,
and
you
say,
thought-
Well, that's what I said, like, I'm saying, we have this for the grant, but are you gonna approve everything he needs at this point? Rather than come back in a month, come back in a month.
yeah.
All right, so we have 2 motions passed already?
We have just the one for the $1,230 cameras. We have a motion and a second on 14 for the computer system, and we need an all in favor. We're in discussion.
Vote on that then.
All in favor, committing 14 for the computer system, say aye. All opposed? I say
Yeah. we made it.
I don't have a first and second.
Yeah, we.
Oh,
No.
Dave.
We have a motion for the 1230, which we passed, Mr. Matt Dees and Dave Bolash, but I don't have a first and second for, we started allowing up to 14,000.
So you need a motion for the 14?
I need a
I'll make a
motion.
motion, we spend 14,000
All
for
right.
the computer system.
Thank you.
Second.
Can I just throw this in here just while we're talking about that?
We're in the middle of a motion right now.
But is the phone part of that? This is why I'm asking you. Is the phone part of that already up there?
I thought we had the phone separate.
For the PlayStation,
Yeah,
we don't have them anywhere purchased.
I thought that was already approved, the phones.
I don't know what you guys approved in the big chunk in the beginning for by the end of the year.
Yeah, that was
If not, the 14 will cover it. I would think it would cover that for initial setup. I would think that's equipment, right?
Okay.
That's why I said that, I'm
Computer, amended to computer and phones.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion, we spend 14,000 for the computers and the phones.
All right, in a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? See none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, would you say 1,500 apiece for tasers, and you need 2?
I think you say you need 1, but 2 would be probably, if it comes down to pinch and pennies, we go with 1. But the other departments share them.
How long is a taser good for? I don't wanna buy 2 if it's just you for the first 6 months.
Here's the good news on it. There's a program they call TAP, and every 2.5 years they replace it regardless. If they have a newer system out and you pay that little, you could pay say $1,280, by paying the $1,500, they're guaranteed that in 2.5 years they replace it. So really, essentially, in a 5-year term, that's a 5-year term with that. At 5 years, you actually have gotten, with 2, you would have gotten 6 tasers. I'm with a finger. Or if you had just 1, you would have 3 tasers. So they'll give you initial, 1 or 2.5 years, regardless, you get a new one. And then again, the 2.5, the 5-year mark, you get another one. In hopes that you'll stay.
I'll make a motion for 2 tasers
just see,
Up to 3,000,
to 3,000.
is that enough? 3,000?
Yes, yes.
Up to 3,000 spent on two
I'll
tasers.
second that.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. All right, did you have, general fund and sewer fund city insurance?
Are we done with,
Yes.
Were the body cameras included in that anywhere?
they were originally, and they came out. The first one was for
Well, I think
using cameras.
I think it should be in there.
Could you go with an amount and then come back and have discussion, can we start a discussion on which ones? Because there's a significant difference. I mean, some people said, oh, some here for $150. They're not what you want for a police
Well, I
department.
think what we can do here is because, if you authorize the safety committee to make the decision, we can have a meeting a week, that way we don't have to wait a month.
That would be very fair, because I can do a little bit more research on this one. I started this on Tuesday a little bit more, and then nobody answered. Everybody's off until tomorrow, they're coming back to work tomorrow.
What kind of range was that in?
You said one was 700, the highest one, or something?
Yeah, it was in the 700. I was surprised it was that high, but calling around and kind of blog this a little bit into this topic, I was surprised that the ones that are good. And they're also guaranteed, you drop it on the ground,
That's really
it
big.
goes in water, it's insured, everything is covered by it.
Body cams?
No questions.
We need
That's
top-notch body
That's
cams.
They go right here, and that would be, you say you would want more, you just two. I wouldn't say you need more than two.
Because then the guys can switch, right?
Right, if you had an overlap or,
Yeah.
you can try one initially to see how that, if you like that. It downloads directly into a cloud by the same company, Axon does the tasers, so there's a little buying power.
I'll say, okay, so up to, and these are the ones that were around, how much?
7.
7?
I thought I had it on here, sorry that I'm not finding it.
In the 15.
This is what they sent me, this is the
All
way
right,
that's.
I'll make a motion to authorize up to $1,500 for 2 body cameras for the police.
All right, need a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
This comes out of the budget.
This 1,500 comes out of the police fund.
Monies that we had, actually, monies that we had set aside last year.
So
The
I'd like to
day
make,
before.
I want to make a statement in that discussion.
Okay.
I want the people to know, West Easton, that this is not even West Easton taxpayers' money yet, because I secured $12,500 from the DA's office, and Joe's Battery and Tire, I did business with him years ago, there's another 1,000. So there's 13,500 right there. That can be used. That's not even considered West Easton taxpayers' money.
Well, that other money, we didn't touch that yet, that other money was.
I know, we didn't even touch that yet.
And then the other money would be from the Northampton, or was that the grant?
That was from the Sands Casino.
What about from Northampton, the meeting that I couldn't make it to? Northampton rehab, or you went alone, no? Do you remember that over in Everett Boulevard?
We haven't gotten any.
No, we haven't got
Yeah.
anything from them yet.
But they
Yeah.
promised it, or?
Yeah, kind of, with a condition.
Okay.
All right, you got a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the $1,500? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Ayes have it. Any more? Please. We good?
I don't know, safety?
I would suggest something down the line, it doesn't have to be today, we're talking about safety, but I do think there should be a dedicated, because of it being subpoenaed, my own phone and my email address and that I do think there should be, I don't really want another phone to carry, but whether it be the police department or personal,
Separate.
there should be another cell phone.
We did budget for that
Okay.
in our initial budget when we laid that out for the police department too. So we figured we just put it on our plan.
You'll be getting a phone.
We had a phone.
And I think the other thing may be we may have a donation for radios. So even if we use it for a short time to see how they work, we may have a donation from another department. Freeman'sburg has upgraded their computer to phone, or their radios, but they may give us they're non-outdated, but outdated to them radios, which will work fine.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good for now.
When we get to that point, Robert will set up a couple safety meetings and anything else like guns, weapons.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, I would definitely the weapons, I would think you want at least, there's a discussion on, I would think one for sure, but whether you're gonna allow other people to bring theirs in, which is a little bit of an issue as well. I almost think they should carry the one from the department.
Okay. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Well, this is just money, right?
Just money, just money.
No, I'm just saying, we talk about codification to match up, not purchasing parking tickets and, because you're gonna have a few of those here.
Oh, right.
Do they match the codification or the new code or not? Or is that something separate discussion?
That's something for a separate discussion we're gonna have to look at,
Okay.
as far as what our ordinances say about fines and all that
So
stuff.
you don't want to print tickets at whatever cost, if it's $5 or $500, you want to print them if they don't match up.
Right.
Unless you leave it blank and have it written in, because that's always an option as well.
That's probably the easiest option,
Yeah.
in case they ever change down the road.
I've never seen it, but
That's
it's gonna put a little work, it's gonna put a little work into it for me, I just have to know. Okay,
All right, we'll talk about it.
I'm done talking, we know it's right.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay. Then Monument Park, I just put down to show you that it's 18.2. The CIPP grant is for 10, it can only be used for that. So if we can take the rest, if it's done, again, from the casino grant, which if Rob gets everything, then we shouldn't even need to do that. I have the sewer and general fund CDs, they're coming due in June. I don't know if you want to give the office permission to roll them right over into another Pliget account. I put down, because I had to nag you guys forever last year to do this. By investing them, they made $9,500 in interest. By letting them sit where they were, they would have made $1,256. So it's a thing.
Right.
So you can either do one now or wait. Our next meeting is the 10th. The CDs are due the 13th and the 20th, so we can't do anything to that. So if you want to wait till June to approve us doing something, if you want to meet with finances to see what the amount you wanted to do, you know, put a little bit more in, but I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention.
Well, I guess we'll take advice from finance, right?
Or, well, we have one, we can have a meeting between now and then and see what we want to do. Okay.
Okay, good.
And just a reminder that on Monday, May 27th, we're having our Memorial Day observance out here at the War Memorial at 9 o'clock. I have got confirmations from Representative Freeman, Mr. James. Trudy has offered to read a poem that day. Ted Barasink is going to be our MC, and Father Dan will offer an opening prayer. I've not heard back from the fire company, the American Legion, or our mayor, so.
Well, you know, I'll be there.
Well, I didn't know if you were gonna go to Florida or not, so.
I'll be there.
And we were hoping that this would be done by then, but we're not sure that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Ye
Especially with the
ye
weather.
of little faith.
The weather, well, I got 3 weeks, weather's not happening.
We may be handing out awards that day, but
Yeah.
it will be rain and shine. If it's raining, we will set something up in here rather than all being outside.
And our electrician just had cataract surgery, he can't do anything until 4 or 5 days, so that takes us to Friday or next Monday. But there's a whole lot of landscaping that can be done without electric, so that's what we're hoping.
All right.
Not counting on it, but hoping. Unrealistic.
Pessimist.
You forgot to include the weather. Weather permitting.
Oh, yeah.
All right, anything else, Joe? Thank you. List of policies, resolutions, and ordinances. We have one resolution. Does everybody have this in their packet, or did you receive this?
It's in the back of the proposal. Security.
It's on the back of the security camera.
We got this in the email too. Did everybody get a chance to read through this then? The email? You understand what we're trying to do? Okay. This was drafted by Matt. You want to speak some more on this, Matt?
Just basically, the right to know law allows a single resident to put in as many right to knows as they want on all different matters, some of them bizarre, like metadata on all the emails. Open up the emails and show me the metadata. This takes time, that many requests. I have to be careful here. When you have a single resident overburdening a borough hall, a borough manager, it's hard to get anything else done when they're spending 20, 30 hours a week looking for this information. What this resolution hopes to achieve is sending our state representatives the resolution to amend the law a bit so that there's an avenue to identify a vexatious requester and an avenue in the law that will allow basically a way to put the brakes on a requester that overburdens a borough or basically harasses a borough with too many requests. I can tell you that the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs is on board with such an amendment, and PSATS, which is Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors, also has a resolution. When these groups meet separately, Mr. Lewis will be going to the PSAB, townships go to the PSATS, all these boroughs that attend these things and townships that attend theirs will be voting on an amendment or a change to the right to know law and they have lobbying power that's going to the state representatives, and hopefully the state legislation will be passed to help relieve some of the burden that boroughs and townships are facing, usually by one individual within a town. So anyway, if you want me to read the resolution, I'll
And you've also emailed this to other people as well. All right. So
I forwarded an email
that's fine.
regarding the resolution, yes.
Yep. So everybody has read this and everybody understands this then. We need a motion to approve this then as presented. Okay.
I'll second that.
All right. Is there any more discussion on this?
Yes. The title, it only says the right to know. Is this the Act 3 of the 2008, signed by Governor Romney?
Yes,
And it took effect on January 1st, 2009.
I believe it did, yes.
Let's put that in the heading.
We can do that.
Okay.
Can you repeat that, Bob?
Sure, it was Act 3 of 2008, enacted January 1st, 2009.
Thank you.
So I have another comments.
Okay.
All right, so the first part is, you say that there's current Pennsylvania right to know law allows a single individual to submit an unlimited amount of requests to public agencies. That's not exactly true. They have section 506 for disruptive request. The agency officer, which is Joe, can deem it burdensome, but that's her discretion. So, the beginning of it is, yes, it does, except it doesn't.
Well, it does, if you
Yeah,
read further down. But he's-
And you gotta remember, what you're referring to is one single request that she could say is disruptive. But all the other 99 that come in,
Right, and that is in agency guidelines.
Plus you'd be in court.
And correct, so after Joan says, look, after the third time, it's already case law.
Yeah, but that's not the same as that thing.
Correct.
So
So,
this is,
Yes.
You know,
if
3
you're
years of
asking
time.
for too much,
sheets,
that's
metadata,
correct.
you
I
know.
understand, so, to submit, right, for a single thing, correct, okay.
Because right on their site, they say,
Oh.
can you limit the number, and it says no, but it's expected.
So, okay, the third, yeah, I'm okay with that. The third whereas, you say their intent is to harass or overburden, how do you know what their intent is?
Because they've told us right out.
Oh, did they?
She did, yes, she did.
Oh,
If you do not do what I do, I'm going to drown you in right to knows. If you do not do what I do, I'll be down every day with a right to know to bury you.
And how many right to knows have we gotten since January?
Over 100 from her alone.
so the next one is, it says, it states citizens should use good judgment in seeking records. I read the law and I couldn't find that anywhere.
That's why he changed it to Office of Open
Yeah,
Records.
Office of Open Records, you should have an updated one.
I do not.
You don't even know. The one I sent, yeah.
Okay. Yes, they should. And then you ask to them to define the words harassment, harass. That was never used in the,
You're correct, I'm asking them to define the words harass and overburden in the law or an amendment, so that we have,
but they don't use those words, so why would they have to define them?
we're asking them to define harass and overburden.
Or it,
But they're not
Include
using
that,
those words in the law. That there's nowhere, only one time is harassment used, and it's in sexual harassment. Overburden is never used, so why should they have to define it?
Because that would help designate what a vexatious requester is. Where the OOR states,
So in it,
where the OOR states people should use it to harass and overburden, the law should define what harass and overburden is.
but they don't use those terms in the law.
So I think you guys are talking past each other. You're saying you want them to make an amendment and include in that amendment the
Yes.
words harass and overburden and define those words in that amendment so
Yes.
that they can be used to.
Exactly, it's not rocket science.
No, I can understand Bob's point too. I can see, because I made that same, I drew that same conclusion initially when I read it.
go ahead.
So what we're asking them to do is not just define it, but put something in here that says this is overburden and harassment. And then that's why they should,
Define it,
correct?
yeah.
So we should incorporate that in the findings. Because just how this reads right here, they shouldn't have to define the words they don't use. So we should be asking them to put in the paragraph.
So we should add the words or
Yes.
add and define the words would suffice? Add and define the words overburden and harass.
Make a sentence, make a paragraph up saying, if this happens, this is harassment. If this happens, this is overburden.
Well, if this happens, it's harassment. To me, it's the same as defining the words harass, because that's telling you what the word harass is going to then mean.
But right now, they're not used in there.
I don't see why it would have to be used in there. We're asking them to define the words harass and overburden. If you want to take out in the current, we could take out,
Why do they
define
have,
the words harass in,
why do they have to have, why do they have to
No, we
define?
need to add the words and add and define.
Someplace in that law,
They
should be the word harass and overburden.
right, so.
That way they can define them. Right now, they're not in there, so they don't have to define.
Well, if they amend the law,
Yes.
You're asking them to add it into
Well,
the...
correct. So therefore, then, let's define it.
Add and
Can I
define.
make a
they'll add and
suggestion?
define the words.
Can I make a suggestion? What if we say include the words harass and overburden with their definitions?
And explain it.
And, you know,
Well, before we get further afield than where we are, it's, Mr. Balash, it's your motion. So if you want to amend your motion to incorporate the changes in the heading as well as what you said, you can do that. If you're asking my opinion, is that a good idea? That is a good idea, what you suggested, but we're going around and around and around.
Yeah, I just think there's a misunderstanding about it.
Right, but just so we're clear,
Just clean up.
there's a motion, a second, and right now, that's what's before you. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but that's the motion.
Amend? What would you like to
I
say?
would like to amend that just to say include and define the words harassment.
Okay.
All right,
The amendment.
And then also,
The new heading.
And the new head.
And the new heading.
Yes, sorry.
I'll second that motion.
well, okay. Any more discussion?
Can we like walk through a scenario real quick, just kinda, I know this is like a specific kind of request. Walk us through like a situation, if somebody comes in and has the intent to put right to knowing with the harassment, what is the steps, is it denied right there, is it?
As of now, no. And it wouldn't, try to understand what this is. We're not talking about a single request.
No, I'm just trying to run through a scenario so
This-
I can understand what the proper like procedure is.
Well, normally the procedure would be she gets a request.
Yeah,
She looks at it and says the information isn't available or doesn't exist.
yeah,
Then it's appealed. And she has to answer the appeal, say the requester loses.
yeah.
Well, now, say the original request was emails on, or text messages from the president's, council president's phone. That one fails. Next day one comes in, even though that one failed, the vice president's phone.
Yeah.
Now she's got to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Then it becomes, Mr. Romano's phone, your phone. Different requests, they all get denied. Each one is supported. So there needs to be determination of when this becomes just vexatious, just basically a harassment thing. I didn't get it from him, I didn't get it from him, but I'll go down the line and keep her searching.
No, I get, but like, when it gets to not, so the borough manager has discretion to say,
well, no, see.
yeah, that's what I'm just trying to understand, like, the.
So right now, the way it works is the law is written saying that citizens should use good judgment and you should use it to harass and overburden. That's what it says, it's the guideline.
Yeah.
Problem is that guideline is not particularly well defined. So the concern is, from a municipality standpoint, you can't or you don't reject these things
Yeah,
because they're overburdened. Because it's a very hard burden to show you're asking too much.
yeah,
So what this is saying is to our state legislature, can you please define that?
yeah,
So then we have a rough idea. Is something overburdening, 100 pieces of paper? Is overburdening 1,000 pieces of paper? Is overburdening 1,000,000 pieces of paper?
yeah.
Nobody knows that.
Mhm.
So the request is West Easton and other boroughs will go to the state legislature and say, can you define this?
Yeah,
State legislature might say, no, it's good enough the way it is.
yeah,
But that's the request, and that's all we're doing. So this all, I don't mean to say anything that I should say, but this all may be for naught. We may do this, and the boroughs may do this, and committees may do this, and that'll be the end of it.
And we can't change the law, but we can ask them to
Yeah.
please consider this, because
no, I
when it was
100%
passed.
support it, I'm just,
Well, and a lot of this, I should point out, I base it on Connecticut law, which actually does address vexatious requesters.
yeah,
If an agency can prove that a person is just doing it to be spiteful,
yeah,
there's monetary penalty, and they can be prohibited from putting in a request for up to 1 year at a time. Connecticut does address this issue, Pennsylvania doesn't.
yeah.
We can't really come up with a sample scenario, Joe, because we're just asking lawmakers to kind of define it.
I got
So then we can work from there,
Yeah.
so, that's a good question. Yes, sir.
I know I'm not a resident, but I know that state, if you do a right to know through the state police, they charge you. Does the state allow the charge to pull back
There's some charges.
per
You have to
page,
redact.
per page they charge?
If they print it out, they can. If they do it electronically, they can't unless they have to print it out to redact. Like say if your home phone number's on or something, they would print it out, redact it, that's 25 cents a page. But if they don't have to redact anything, you can't charge for it. Because that's what we have now. Everything's electronic, and let me know if there's any cost whatsoever. So they don't want to pay anything, they want you to spend 30 hours a week working for them, but oh no, don't redact anything or else I don't want it. So that's probably what's happening there, because that would be police reports, I'm guessing.
I think pretty much anything
Have
from,
a lot of, and I know
which
that,
reports have to be subpoenaed through the commissioner, all other reports don't.
yeah, because I know there's a lot of PSP appeals, both sides. You know, people trying to get stuff, police say no, then they appeal it, and it goes on and
I
on.
was just curious if that would,
Yeah, you can't charge for your time, you can't charge to get the report, but again, if you have to redact something, and there's like 8, you know, there's your social security number, obviously your home phone, your address, undercover informants, anything like that, any page that has one thing up there, they have to pay a quarter then for a paper copy.
I got a motion and a second on the floor. Any more discussion? See none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Solicitors report?
I have a series of items for executive session,
Okay.
but nothing other than that.
As far as my report, reminder that we're voting 2 weeks, May 21st. Yeah, so don't forget to get out and exercise your rights and vote for your folks. I'm going to talk about our resolution on rental properties. You should have got an email. Everybody should have got an email. I got yours with changes. So I'm going to talk about that when we talk about committees, and also take note. Probably everybody here has already got one, but we're giving recycling bins. Remember, thank you for those folks that dedicated a little bit of their weekend time, or a lot of their weekend time to pass these things out. It's probably one of those things. Like one of those things. That's all I got. Mayor?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the recycling bins too. We spent 4 scheduled times at the new garage on Ridge Street, and surprised to see that a lot of people read the newsletter, came to the garage and picked up the recycling cans, but not everybody. So I don't know if we ever have to distribute anything again, what we'll do. I guess this is the way we have to do it.
And I had some people ask me about if there was any extras. Would we have a plan on that, or are we going to talk about that later?
We can talk about that later, because
Okay.
there's a price for an extra one, which is reasonable. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Next thing I have, if anybody rode past the police station on the 6th Street, you'll see I'm very satisfied with the handicap ramp. I know we have a building that was built around 1900, and there's a lot of things you don't have to comply to, but this handicap ramp clinched it for me. I found it, someone had it, and it's a heavy-duty commercial ramp. Got it for almost practically steel, and set it up in one day. We have one of the volunteers that helped sitting over to my right, Jim. I think he's happy with it, right, Jim?
Very happy.
It's really nice having it there. Next thing I have is everybody knows about the Odom Weller House, 1772, 1773, whatever you want to call it. It was one of the first houses in what is now West Easton. It wasn't then. It was Odom Weller Town. Not too many houses survived that era. I think Easton has a handful. Maybe 1753 is the oldest. 1757. Bethlehem has a few. More, probably a little bit more than a handful. We have one of them. And I wasn't satisfied with demolition permit, so I made a call, and that rest is still up in the air. We'll find out what happens in the future. As far as the police meeting in Bath, I was very happy to be at that meeting for several reasons. They had 2 very well guest speakers.
And during a break, 2 communities came up to me and said they would like to give us or donate or at very low cost police equipment as far as base station radios. I pulled Rob over. And what was the final word that you have with,
He's supposed to talk to me tomorrow afternoon. They have a meeting tomorrow in the county, so he's gonna talk to me, make sure he can do what he said. There's a base station that probably usually running about $1,000, and it's just something you keep at your station. And you don't dispatch from there the way, but you can actually hear it rather than a portable radio. That's the way I see it used. You could actually get on there like, you know, Andy, Paul, and Marty. You could actually do that, but it doesn't, it's not practical. Use a portable radio to do that.
do you also,
So see-
do you have ones for a car? Yeah, you say, I forget.
He said, but we didn't know, we think what's in the car already is sufficient. We don't know that.
Yeah, well, we need one. One of the cars does not have a radio.
Okay.
That was donated. So out of all the things that were donated, one of the cars that was donated doesn't have a radio in it, so we'll see about that.
I'll talk to him tomorrow about that.
That was
This
that.
afternoon.
And at the same meeting, I understand from Rob, I'm not clear on this, Rob, you have to explain that to everyone, but there's certain things that you cannot purchase or cannot do legally because you would like to be hired as police chief to do them.
Well, that got twisted a little bit. I get what you're saying. There's sometimes you run into barriers, like even with Taser International. The reason they talked to me, I talked to them the other day, the reason why they said they didn't get back to me, they went into the system and saw, they said my email is rmahady@pa.gov, so they assumed that I worked for the state police, so they can still talk to me. But when I told them it was for West Easton, they need some sort of proof that you're some sort of either agent for or the chief of police, because that's the police department they speak to. Things like Homeland Security protect, they don't let individuals buy tasers, or certain tasers. They let them buy some, surprisingly, but not ones that fire they let them buy handheld ones, they let them buy ones that fire. So anyway, there's sometimes we run into some barriers, and Dave and I talked about this. You keep running into these where it almost would be beneficial. I was against it initially, but it almost would be beneficial to be sworn in as chief at some point, it's on paper to move forward with things rather than keep tabling them to make it perfect. It's never going to be perfect. It's just going to keep adding on to, I don't know if that makes sense the way I'm putting it.
May I make a suggestion? Would Borough Council, makes sense for up to, would Borough Council consider authorizing Borough Council President and/or the Borough Manager to sign any document authorizing Rob to act as agent? So if and when this comes up, we don't have to go back before council, but we can give them whatever they need, an agency document, something with a seal on it, whatever it may take. And that'll at least get us, for the next couple of weeks or months. Would that work on your end?
Yeah, we have done that. Jerome actually did that. Some places will just say, just give me a letter saying that, like for the ORI and things like that, that's all they require. But if that suffices, that will work. The other measure, which where Dan was headed, I believe, we didn't even discuss this, was the way to go just for the chief. Afterwards, the mayor can appoint police officers, but just for the chief, you need to go through the motions court. Judge Dowley volunteered that, but he's only on this week. It doesn't come back on until July. I think we can be in session before July. But it's just before motions court starts, so we just have to ask to go in to motions before motions court, I know the procedure, you do too, but I don't know what it's called, you probably better. But it's, he's only on for this week, otherwise we just go to another judge. You know how they're assigned for the weeks, and they would just swear in. That'd be for down the line though. Right. Okay.
So do you have the letter you need in your possession?
I don't know, do we keep that letter? No. It was actually directed specifically to
the individuals.
She actually wrote one specifically, like months ago, specifically for ORIs and MOPEC, and that's all taken care of. But we can probably do a generic one. We can talk about that tomorrow, maybe.
Well, I'll make a motion that we have,
Well, I'm not done with my mayor's.
oh, sorry, because I'll forget in 2 minutes.
That'll be okay. My opinion is, if council takes him from consultant to police chief and makes a motion and says he's a police chief, he's still not actually the police chief because you would have to get sworn in by a county judge because it's a new department. Is that what I understand?
True.
So it's up to council whether you want to make him from consultant now to police chief or not.
Steve?
You would not do that. That's not gonna happen. I'm not letting you do that. Either, and I'm happy to have Rob be our police chief when the time comes, whether that's tomorrow or next week or whatever it is. When we do it, he becomes our police chief.
Then my next question is, when does it trigger that that council would say, he's our police chief? When is that? Is that after it gets this, and after it gets that, and after it gets this, and after it gets that? I mean, does it go on, and it go on, and does it go on? I mean, it's either gonna be the police chief or not. And if he's not, if he can say he was a police chief, but not sworn in by the county, then he's still limited in what he can do.
Well, then he can't say he's a police chief.
Well, yes, he can. The council.
Might ask what the process is to make him a police chief?
Here's what I suggest we do, if I may. The way to do it would be as follows, that Rob has gotten this far as a consultant. He's gotta come to us at some point in time and say, I've gone as far as I can go. I've now reached that magical stage. I'm there. And it should come from him. Shouldn't come from any, no offense to anybody on this side of the table, it shouldn't come from any of us, it should come from him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe he was hitting along that line.
But that's your suggestion.
No, I said, yeah, that was my impression, not suggestion. Well, it was a suggestion too. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Are you, Rob, are you at that point?
I would think that we're very close, if not weeks away from that point, just for the sake of, it doesn't change anything time-wise as far as pay or anything, it's just a matter of, I'm telling you, that you're running into these barriers, and I didn't see that coming. I mean, the only thing you could do is a proposal that at some point we reach out to you and you reach out to Motions Court.
Yeah, no, that would be fine. What Rob was talking about is, whenever you have a police chief, you have to go in front of a judge to do that. And there's a procedure for that. It's half ceremonial, half official, but it has to be done. And when that time comes, when he hits the, I'm here now, I'm ready to utilize the budget, we're ready to drive the cars, we're ready to whatever it may be, he should come to council and say, I'm ready. And at that point, we file a petition and so on. It's a process. But I would not recommend going halfway, where he's a police chief on paper with us, but not in reality. He should be the police chief when he's the police chief.
Yeah, again, the $1 million question is ready now.
Is the next meeting June 10th?
Yeah, if you're ready now, then we can start that process.
Because you need
We have a
a
car, we have a car, we have
You don't have your
Police
manuals
station.
and operating procedures yet, right?
Well, that stuff too, that would have to go through, I would think would have to go through. During the class we had, that was something that would have to go through yourself, and also if you wanted to, there's people that specifically review SOPs from the Pennsylvania Association of Bureaus. I can't remember what his title actually, there's an attorney for that. But he's part on the webinar, if you participated in that, he was on the webinar, runs that. Not sure if I
Robert,
answered
as far as purchases go, that's holding you up. A general authorization from Joan or the council president for you to make these purchases solves the big problem, right?
And most of that stuff is pretty good because the people that we purchase from know who I am.
Okay,
They
and
see
then,
my face.
and then when you're ready, when you think you got a car ready, the weapons ready, the equipment you need, the radios are in, you would come to us and say, I've reached that.
Well, and I have some discussions on that line. I know it's still on the mayor's report, but the discussions on that are, when you only have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people, who trains those people? So I mean, reach out to other departments, they use other departments. So somewhere along the line, it may be, I hate to put his name on record, but there's somebody from Wilson Borough that trains the guys, there's somebody from Palmer Township. We may have to piggyback onto them, but the agreement's going to be that they may require pay. They may want to do it individually as a contractor, or they may say, hey, we'll do it as a favor, we like you guys. I don't know how far we like you guys, we'll do it as a favor goes. That's discussions we're going to have as a safety committee with another department. I can usually pull that off for 1 year. I don't know if that'll work for 2 years. Because you do have to qualify every year. So I can't qualify myself. I'm always going to be an expert if that happens. But you know what I mean? Really, there are some more procedures with a very small department like this. When you have a 4,500 person department, there are people that are assigned to that. So those are things we have to discuss that to start that day one. That does say that only the chief can do this, and we're in a predicament. Only the chief can authorize. I just qualified for Wilson Borough. I can actually say, if I was the chief, that is, you're good for this year. because you don't have to qualify for this year, because you're qualified for another department. I don't go so far that you waive yourself. I mean, it's understandable that the first year, you keep waiving yourself, it's not very professional.
Well, we would make you the chief, and then you would tell us the couple officers you want to hire underneath you,
Right.
right? And then, by then, you're the chief.
Right. I don't think we're in a terrible desperate time, but we're getting close, and the reason why is, some of the people that are willing to work for West Easton, they're like work for schools. They'll end June 14th. So those people are the people who've come to me and said, "Wow, well," like 3 people specifically, good people, have said, "Look, we're ready to go." They work for school districts. So they need to work right now. And then they say, "Hey, we'll work this summer, we're off for a few," and now get started. And there's a couple other people that make it a little bit more part-time, full-time, so to speak, but they be coming from out another group of people.
Well, do you think June 10th would be enough time for you?
I think that works. I think we'll at least be way ahead of what we are, yes. Knowing there's the stuff of what we talked about, just the mayor bringing that up.
If there's anything you guys can
Yeah,
look
we'll
at
have a
it,
couple,
committee,
yeah.
Kind of put a full court press on.
then we can go and move. I think it's a good idea.
It'd be nice to commit to some of those people before they maybe take other jobs too.
Because I know school gets out around June 12th,
Right,
and we're having our next council meeting June 10th.
so it times out fairly well.
Yeah.
And we could probably reach out to Steve beforehand, you know, if we get some, regarding the motions court, if we had to at least schedule it beforehand.
Is it okay with Borough Council for my office to draft whatever needs to be drafted, with the concept being come June 10th,
Yeah,
we're ready to go?
yeah,
That's okay?
yeah.
So for now, we still need the motion to.
I was just gonna ask, you have anything from that meeting that you wanna bring up?
Me?
Yeah. You said something about council can hire, part-timers, right?
Oh, the council does the hiring and firing. Do I have anything to bring up? Unless I get paid for the information.
What?
Did you pay for me?
Do we have, so, you motion on the floor?
No,
Yeah.
there was, and then we
Yeah,
stopped.
yeah.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
All right, so we're good then, we're good for now. All right, Dan,
That's
sorry,
it?
I cut you off.
No, it's good.
All right,
Now, just before we get to the next thing, Matt was gonna make a motion about something, which I've now forgotten what it was.
It was, authorize, if he needed a general authorization to make purchases, that either the council president or borough manager write out that authorization, approve that authorization.
Do you want to sign it, it'll be better, both?
Sure. Either one or both.
I'll second.
any more discussion on that authorization letter?
Is this authorizing him to act as our consultant or to make purchases?
It would, if I may, I believe the motion would be to sign any necessary document to authorize Rob to act as the agent of the borough. So in essence, whatever he needs, you guys are authorized to provide. Or,
Yeah, it's still gonna come before then, you know, it's my word, not just something you don't know about.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's it. Council roundtable. All right, go ahead.
I'll tell you, I looked up the April's minutes and found that there were not the 2 attachments for the abstentions. They should be there at the end.
Okay. Well, I only had yours, I never got the Dora's, and since she's resigned, we didn't push it.
You should get that.
And if I could have your original rather than the photo that I have of it, it would also be better.
Good, I'll be in tomorrow.
All right, moving on, committee reports, finance?
We're gonna make some meetings.
Okay.
Thursday.
A meeting, just me and you. Tuesday?
It's election, you want to do that day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 6
Are you
PM.
off that day?
Huh?
Is there any days that you are off?
I don't get that. I'm not that lucky.
6, good?
6 PM is good. So, Tuesday, May 21, 6 PM. Okay. Property Highway?
Yeah, just about Monument Park.
Okay.
My understanding is that the utilities were installed, and we're just waiting. The big tie-up is with ordering the special block we needed for the Gold Star.
The stuff that.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the fountain. But the utility hookups are there, everything's ready.
Okay.
Well, the electric's not hooked up, but the hookups are there, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the groundwork, everything was dug,
Okay,
trenched,
understood.
whatever needed to be done, so they're just waiting.
Right.
Well, they can't hook it up, until they put something in.
Right, okay.
Okay.
It doesn't, I just discussed this briefly with Matt, it doesn't seem like that's gonna take long if they have decent weather.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, they
They've
were actually
only
there a
got
little
a
bit
week and a
today.
half, really.
Yeah, they were there a little bit today, actually, in the rain, doing something.
Oh, they
right
were?
at flagpole, maybe half an hour, but
Oh,
I'm surprised.
Well, no, Daniels has a good reputation, I think if there's any possible way, I'm optimistic it's gonna get done, in time. So,
I'm hopeful.
yes.
Thanks, Dave. Either can you or Matt, you speak on behalf of the public safety
Well, most of
personnel?
it you heard tonight,
Yeah.
we had met with Mr. Mahady, and he came about the computers and other equipment which he presented here tonight. I do want to set up, you said do you need time now, Robert, for other stuff, the manuals? Do you have any?
I do need time for that, but it's, I have a meeting tomorrow with both Stockertown and Academy at the same time. A lot of the wording, when you look at other departments, it brings up an association, the police association, because there's agreements between them, a collective bargaining agreement. I don't think that's the case with your.
We're gonna be so small that we're not gonna need that.
Right, so I gotta eliminate all that, like, I gotta eliminate that wording, unless somebody could do that, somebody could try to set one up, but I don't think you're not required to accept it, are you?
I thought when I spoke to the chief of Stockertown, they didn't have any civil service at all.
They don't, but neither does Academy. They still started up their own. They still started up their own association. So I just gotta eliminate all that wording. And we talked in the class we went to. We talked about some things about Bob and Dan were there. We talked about some of the wording, which I understood PSP wise, but shall, should, reason why those words are used in there. Shall means it has to be. This is what's going to happen. Should, it's optional kind of.
Well,
So those things gotta change.
what about other equipment purchases? Is it like weapons?
Weapons, and the tasers will be included in that already.
I mean, do you want to meet?
Oh, we
I'm
gotta
trying
talk
to
about,
find a date that's good for you, if you want to meet in a week or two.
we should be like a week or two, that'd be perfect, because we should talk about what potential wages would be for, and I'll reach out to municipalities asking what their starting rate is for small, just like us, salaries and that, so we should talk about that, and also just make sure the uniforms are what, I'm sure they're gonna be fine, but just make sure that you approve of what they look like or not, they're very typical.
Do you need a couple weeks for that, a week? Or you want to do 2 meetings?
2 meetings maybe. You wanna go 2 weeks from now?
Start,
discuss
the
it.
first meeting starting 2 weeks from now, the 27th?
Sure.
Tomorrow.
Oh, that's actually Memorial
We
Day.
just go before Memorial Day, we can be in the middle there.
Yeah, we can do 22nd? Or is that too soon? That'd be a Wednesday?
That looks good.
Wednesday the 22nd, 6 o'clock?
Okay.
You want another one after that?
You don't have to do that, don't you?
Huh?
You don't have to do that, right?
Well,
You don't get one in June.
well, that's what I'm gonna find out from, we can cover a lot if he's ready, but I don't wanna bring him in. if
Well,
he's not ready.
I know, obviously, a lot of people know, I was working in 2 different places and 3 at times, and that's kind of backed down a little bit. I kind of said, I gotta put more time into this, we're getting down to the end here, so it's a little bit freed up. The only thing I juggle right now, on a personal note, is my son's team is in districts, and we just don't know their schedules yet for baseball.
Oh,
I just don't know, so if I see that's coming up, I'll let you know, but otherwise, we just move it
I'm
earlier.
gonna set a couple other dates.
That's usually pretty good anyway,
Just make a
they,
meeting and.
usually after 6 o'clock's fine anyway, so
You wanna do, also Wednesday the 30th?
you're in the holiday, aren't you?
I'm in what?
You're in the holiday, aren't you?
I'm sorry, 29th. May 29th, Wednesday.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, give me a date that's good for you.
I like both.
Okay. 6 o'clock.
I think we'll have a lot to discuss and done there.
Good. Okay, so the 22nd, 29th of May, 6 o'clock.
Those are perfect, because the people that are interested in possibly working, I'd like to be able to at least talk to them. With a little more than just work, me talking to them. You know, some of them put applications in here, at least get back to those people that we say no to as well. I'm not sure about that.
Do you want the week of June, since it'll be possibly going ahead June 10th and tied this in? First council,
You want to do one right before the
Yeah,
next meeting?
sure.
June 5th.
What do you want, June 5th? June 5th?
Hold on 1 second. June 5th?
It's up to you.
I think that works good. I actually have a meeting with Cody, one of the other,
Want to make a different day?
let's just make it June 5th. You look at what during the day, you said?
6 o'clock.
Okay, let's go with that, and then I'll let you know if there's a problem, but that should be good.
All right.
Okay, good.
is it okay, Dave?
Yeah, good. Wednesday,
I just wanna-
second
Yeah,
Wednesdays,
Okay.
22, 29, and June 5th.
All right. Anything else, public safety?
You?
Good enough. Legal committee met, we discussed the rental agreement. So my goal was to get your input and to forward those inputs to Steve for a final draft. So everybody's read the email that I sent you with the draft, and we've worked on it. I got Matt's changes incorporated in.
Suggestions.
Right, so that's what I got. Does anybody have any other comments or any other suggestions? If not, I would like to formalize it and forward to our solicitor and bring it to the next meeting for approval.
So we're clear on this, it would be, this is an ordinance, so then we'd have to advertise it.
Okay,
So you guys, I didn't realize we don't do many.
okay, no, me too.
Right. So the ordinance processes, then we'd go to whenever it's in final form, then you'd make a motion to advertise it, you'd have to advertise it, put it in the paper, have a return date and so on, so there's a process.
Okay,
But that would be the next step, just.
all right, we're gonna forward it to Steve for, we'll make a final draft.
And go from there.
And go from there.
Are we going to, obviously codification has been moving very quickly. With wanting to do the police force, should there be a separate ordinance just for the fines like he was talking about? And then that could be put in the paper at the same time or not? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Could we do, you mean the police force fines and this?
yeah, like just sort of do a couple of things.
You could put them in one ad,
Yeah,
two
because I
separate
was
things.
hoping that codification would go through, like I said, it'd be one giant ordinance, it'd be one, well, two advertisements, but in one meeting and everything would be passed, but it's not getting done. So to have a police force and not sure of our fines, could we do that or not? Do the fines a separate ordinance and then do landlord, but at the same time?
We may have some on this done, we've been working on this.
The codification?
And maybe the best way to do it is, let's go forward with the rental ordinance. Let's see where Rob has us with the police, and let's see where we're with the codification. And when we're all ready to go on each one of those, if they're close, then we can talk about doing them together. If they're not close, so we'll do maybe two and then one or something.
Right, well, it just seems like, in my mind, we should have the fines down when we have a police force versus winging them, or going from,
Well, if you don't have them you don't have an ordinance, you can't enforce them anyway, so we
Right,
have to.
that's what I mean,
Yeah.
so.
I'm happy to combine them if we can. Let's.
I just, I mean, if we're gonna talk about having the police force actually starting in June, is that what you're saying?
No, we're just talking about.
Well,
June-
first we'd have to
June
get,
10th.
yeah, first we'd have to get a police force enacted. To do that, we'd have to swear them in.
Right,
And then we'd have to, once we have it sworn in, then we can go ahead and enact the rules. So the bottom line is, June's our next meeting, I will probably come back here and say, here's my final version.
mhm,
And then Borough Council could make a decision and say, well, let's not do 2 advertisements and spend, the money. Let's just wait, and we'll do the rental ordinance and the same advertisement as we do the police fines, for example.
mhm.
We'll do what you want.
No, I was, my concern
And
is.
it's saving the borough money.
Yeah, if they're trying to do aside from the money, if they're gonna try and have a police force in June, and we don't have any fines approved, so we don't have an ordinance, and you can't do anything, then what's the point of,
Well, you have to have you have to have a chief in the force before you can have the funds.
right? Are we gonna wait a month, is there gonna be a whole month of
Not
no official
necessarily.
fines?
No, I mean, it depends on whether the fines are, if Rob's in a position to get us and he may have already, I just don't know any better. If everything is ready to be enacted,
Mhm.
then we try to run things more concurrently.
Well, we reviewed the fines, and some of them are a little outdated, they're like $5 and
Yeah,
$10, so.
And we were talking too about spending time just giving warnings.
Well, that's what we can do in the meantime, is issue warnings, and even the towing ordinance is probably not different, like, we can still deal with that, but, and even that, I'm not trying to tow vehicles, they give a warning out and comes down to it, they don't, I mean, 2 months is pretty long, but I mean, we talked about using the warnings first, but obviously, some of them, we looked them up, and some of them are pretty outdated, like
Mhm.
$5 and $10, and most boroughs are at least 20 and 30,
Right,
some are even more than that. I'm not saying you're trying to make money off, you're not gonna make money off them, but $5 is,
do you have a list of?
I'd rather park illegally than take the chance. But park your car here for a while and pay the $5 is cheaper than paying for parking somewhere else. There's no incentive to not park illegally at $5.
Do you have a list of like, say, Wilsons and Palmers and
I do,
Tadleys?
I do.
Sort of-
I can bring, I brought the Wilson ones here, and I put them in a file one time, but I can bring you 2 or 3 examples.
Yeah,
Have
are
you-
they pretty much comparable, do you think?
Not to what your existing law is, but the
I
other
know
ones
that's what
are,
they
the other ones are comparable.
Right,
And Wilson just changed theirs literally this week with their solicitor, last week I believe, so they went up a little bit, not terribly. They got rid of a lot of issues that you don't have though, that was most of it, they have park permits for parking, you don't really have a whole lot of that here.
right.
They have it because of the hospital, the hospital
Mhm.
is not full anymore, so it's a little outdated. Plus they have a parking garage now. I'll grab some examples and we'll see if we can marry them up and make it at least competitive.
Mhm.
Poor word.
In ours, also with reference to legal, do you want to follow, we need to follow me, continue working on this big book?
Yeah.
21, May,
Is that Monday? No, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I'm off on the 20th. 21st might be tough in the evening.
6 PM in the evening, or?
We already have a meeting on 21st at 6 o'clock, finance.
Oh, I think it's, okay, so, how about, 23rd?
I might be able to. Are you not available on the 20th?
No, I have a meeting at the 20th.
All right, let's do the 21st. Can we set 2 dates? Can we do the 21st and the 22nd?
21st would have to be like at 6:30.
6:30.
We'll be here too anyway, so, yeah, that works out good. So May 21 at 6:30, and another date, what'd you say the other date was?
Can we do Tuesday, the 22nd? I mean Wednesday, just as a backup?
Yeah, what time?
No, I can't do Wednesday. I can do Thursday, 23rd.
There's a meeting.
Well, the next week.
Tuesday the 28th.
Okay. Tuesday the 28th.
Same time?
Yeah, 6 p.m.
Perfect. That works.
Utilities, Pete?
I'd like to have a meeting, May 29th if possible, 6 o'clock,
Okay.
free.
Yep.
I thought that's the safety committee.
Do a
meeting.
safety committee meeting at that same time.
Oh,
Oh,
How about Sat,
6:30?
can we?
How long is the safety committee gonna be?
That should be all right.
Probably more than a half hour.
You could always meet in the back room or.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we could use the office.
Okay, 6 o'clock?
Yeah, we could.
From 29th.
Yeah, we can arrange it. Let's make it, we could make efficient use of our building.
makes it tough on me now.
You're just gonna have to pay.
Flow back and forth. They can never come to do.
Recreation committee?
I'll go to the meeting on Thursday,
Okay,
so
okay, good.
I'm gonna do that and then I'll report anything
Okay,
back from there.
and finally, grants?
Nothing but grants.
Okay.
Jeff, that's the Wilson Rec Board meeting.
How's that going?
They didn't have a meeting last
I
month.
canceled the last meeting, so. It's going? How's it going?
Because
So,
they asked me if we had anything.
They're working on the Wilson 2020. They're gonna have a big, it's gonna be kind of like the old fairs, the old Wilson fairs, the borough fairs that they had at Muser Park. They're gonna have some music and some freshmens and trucks, food trucks and stuff. It's gonna be a big event. They're doing fundraisers and stuff right now. You know the deal on the pool, right? So they're looking for monies for the pool. They've also put out, they're trying to sell some of their sewage capacity. They're looking to sell $5 million worth of sewage capacity. Each borough has a excess capacity that they deal with for growth. Since Wilson feels like they're kind of grown, they're trying to sell $5 million worth of capacity. Now, we assume they're selling $5 million worth of capacity to fund the pool. So, there's certain things they have to do to that pool to make it right. I guess the kiddie pool never had any filtration or water. It used the main water in the main pool, but it didn't have like a change of water, so it was kind of bad. And so they needed to change that. And there's some problems underneath. You know, they dug it up last year and they were trying to figure it out. But it's not working. As far as your sports go, most of them are well represented and most of them are doing good. I don't know if your kids or grandkids are on the associations, but I mean, they're doing good. I know they're using our field for T-ball. You probably had some kids, or seen some kids out there. Football is working. I don't know, there was some issue with cheerleaders and football, and they were talking about splitting up, but that never came to reality. There was some they wanted to be their own separate organization, but the cheerleaders are tied to football, and there's issues with the money and everything, but I guess it's kind of quieted down because it's not football season. But I guess as it gets closer, they may end up doing some stuff too. So
They're also looking for volunteers for coaching in the fall. Little League Baseball just kicked off, so they're just transitioning into the season. It's like any other organization. Yeah.
well, I mean, the board is strong. The rec board wants to take over the pool, but there's some pushback in the borough, and so they're going back and forth. They're interesting meetings. They're third Thursdays of the month. If you want some, if you're bored, you want some good entertainment, I definitely recommend it. They're always spirited, that's for sure. So
one thing I think we definitely should kind of talk as council, with their celebration is the 150 years. They're really looking for donations from everywhere. I would assume that we wouldn't be one of those ideal spots, because it's not our borough. Does anybody have thoughts in regards to donations?
It's their celebration.
That's what I'm thinking, so I know that, I think the last one I attended, somebody brought up, I don't know if they brought anything up to you, but I kind of said the same thing, it's not our borough, so.
Right,
It's kind of hard to explain to our taxpayers that we're,
Yeah.
yeah.
we're spending our money on their celebration.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just putting out there for information, so, you know, you guys are aware and available too, so. Moving on to, any unfinished business, I don't really have anything on tab. Any new business?
I can throw some stuff in.
Okay.
Finish. So the last meeting, I put a travel request in to go to that police meeting. And it didn't get seconded. So I went, I paid for myself. All I can do is ask to be reimbursed.
All right. What, for the cost of the meeting
Sure.
and the,
So you sent 2 people, paid for them, why wouldn't you pay for me? Is there a reason that you don't want to pay for me to go get trained?
we never got a second.
But I know that, so I'm just asking to be reimbursed.
Would
for the
you
class.
like to try to get reimbursed?
That's what I'm doing right now, asking to get reimbursed,
Motion to get reimbursed, how much?
$150.
Motion to get reimbursed for $150 for the police. The
For the
police.
class, that's all.
What was the class for? Just so everybody else is
Police
aware.
supervision,
Okay.
Excuse me, no travel reimbursement?
no, just asking for the price of the class.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second the reimbursement.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? I know it's a backwards way to do it, but you went,
No.
you provided,
Class only,
but you provided good input today too, as a result of that class too, so.
I wasn't the only one that went.
I know you weren't, but you did.
Just for everybody's information, I'm just reading just to follow procedure. Because everybody wants to follow procedure when it's for somebody else. Everybody else has to follow procedure. Everybody should follow procedure. I guess there was no second for your proposal for a police meeting on April 30th, as far as the minutes go. Is that correct? Dave, Joan?
It was a motion for 3 classes.
But this
One big.
This municipality meeting that Rob and I went to, and a motion was made for us to go, was on the 8th of this month.
Mhm.
he's right, I do remember that now. You asked for the 30th in, I don't know where it was, it wasn't even
Our
that.
county is where it's scheduled.
So, as it turned out, they switched the venue to Bath on the 8th. I found that out on the plane.
Oh, they switched?
No, the original one in Bath was April 13th,
Something like that, and they postponed it to May.
and I don't know what this April 30th, I'm just, making a statement
That was
here.
scheduled, but in another venue.
Oh, this was at another location, the same,
Same class,
Same
different
class.
location.
but, okay, so that's the one nobody made a second on. And then, a motion was made by Mr. Dees and seconded by Amanda for myself and Rob to go to this meeting in Bath on 8th, and you were still here. And that's why I don't understand why you said you wanted to go to the one that they just brought up. It's all here in the minutes.
I didn't realize it was on the 8th. No, I don't think anybody knew it was on the 8th, because they switched.
Well,
No,
Matt,
he knew it was on the 8th.
you made the motion for the 8th.
Yeah,
Because you put the request in for the 8th.
Yeah, I had paper filled
So how
out,
did you find out about the 8th?
because Joe said the one on the 13th got switched to the
Oh,
8th.
see, I
So
didn't get that information, so I didn't know.
So, you got a motion and a second on,
That's all I'm saying.
Motion and a second to reimburse you the $150 for this meeting.
So, just to follow up, so did it get canceled or not?
Sorry,
Did it get canceled or not?
the one in Bath
No,
first.
the 30th one. 'Cause that's a good point.
No, the 30th
No,
one, the
the
30th one.
one for the 30th was scheduled for Butler County.
Yeah.
That one was held, but when he brought his motion up to go to that, he made his initial motion, but there was no second, so the motion died.
Yeah. So then the 8th was just you volunteered to go that one.
I just went, yeah, because I wanted to go. Everybody should have known. Yeah, there's a lot of information that we need to know.
They made you pay when you got there? You paid for this already?
I ordered it online,
So you paid for it out of your own funds?
yes.
Do we get, so you have the receipt, you'll turn in the receipt to,
Sure, you'll send me a receipt.
I'll tell you, Bob, it's the only thing that bothered me is when you got refused the 3 you wanted to go to, that one in Butler County, if you hadn't got up and left, you huffed out of here, when the mayors and Mr. Romanis came up for the 8th, you would have heard it then, that you could have gone to one on the 8th. But you left in a huff. You left the meeting, got up, gathered your papers and left because you didn't get your meetings you wanted. That's the only thing that bothers me about that. But I'm gonna let you know, I'm gonna vote for you to get your $150 back. But next time, stick around, you might find out when these meetings are, and you might get approved.
You're gonna piece that email us, I got several notices of change, I'm surprised you didn't, because I was harassing Dan to go further.
Well, the only thing I can say, because his name wasn't on the list, we might not even get billed.
You're not getting billed, I already got billed.
He said he already paid for it.
Oh, so, okay.
Right.
I went online and did it.
I guess he's looking for the reimbursement to pay for it.
Right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any other new business? Any additional public comment?
Oh, wait, I still have no finished business. The ethics class is tomorrow, not ethics, what were we discussing before the meeting?
I thought it was ethics.
Yeah, the ethics is, that's tomorrow, and it's only $25, I paid for it myself, no big deal. I just want to know if there's going to be a car available for me to use, to
But tomorrow? Did you ask David to get one ready for you?
No, one of the company cars.
Barrel cores, I guess one of the Jeeps.
Oh, like, you don't know that.
Are they fixed? I'll drive them if they're fixed. If they're not fixed, I'll come back and I'll complain again about them. I mean, they should be fixed after the last list I gave you. If they're not, I'll give you the same list, and then you should have them fixed next time. Just get them fixed, that's all. I mean, geez.
Dan would know the cars.
I think they're both fixed. I'm trying to think, the black and white one might be, a better one. All new tires and everything.
Come and see Dave tomorrow.
What time do you need it for?
I'd like to leave at 10:30.
Oh, that should be fine.
Anything else? Bob?
That's it.
Um,
Yeah, does anybody else want to go with me?
Any public comment? Leon?
Leon Stoll, 306 Second Street. Mr. Maman, did you ever complain about that house up there on 10th and Ridge? You're on the council. That house is a disgrace. You come down there, you stop there, and that's all you see. It's a disgrace. That's, either send the guys up there to cut the grass or do something. That's ridiculous.
Is it vacant?
No, they started to cut the grass.
I think you should rip the house down.
The guy that, committed,
Suicide.
suicide,
Yeah.
I forget their last names.
Wasser. Grass is about 2 foot high.
Well,
That's a
The-
big
the
problem.
Dan-
They try to cut it. Yeah,
Dana,
they started getting a couple little
did Dana say anything about it?
roads.
Well, they get a letter. cut
They have
the
a lot,
grass.
they have a lot of garbage too sitting out in the driveway, a bunch of stuff.
Okay, can you,
That garbage, garbage?
do you have an address, Leon?
Well, they collect.
I can get it.
What's his name?
Yeah, I don't get
All
it.
right, can you send them thank you.
Plus, there's other houses that the grass is getting really high in front. I don't care about the yards. But when I ride down the street and I see grass up on, I think it's 9th and Palmer, right on the corner, this high, you run down the barrel. At least make it look
Have you
decent.
put complaints into the borough manager about these properties?
No.
Is it my job?
You're coming here and
You're
doing
doing it
it.
now.
Wait a minute. Now, here's.
How hard is it
Wait,
to call
wait,
Joan?
wait a minute.
No, you wait,
No, you wait.
because you do this every
He lives
meeting.
across
You
the
come and
street.
complain about yards and houses, but you don't call the borough manager or put in a complaint form that we have available to the public. You want to make a public setting in front of the council about these yards, put something into Joan, and if it isn't corrected, then come to a council meeting and say, I put in a complaint to you.
This way here, it's on record, all right? I
It's
have
going to be on
witnesses
record
here.
if they put in a
But
complaint
now,
form, we keep them.
here's a gentleman that lives right across the street. Why do I have to come down here and complain? It should
You
be
don't.
He
Put
should
in
have
a
told you
complaint
people,
form.
or Joan, and should have been
Mr.
taken care of.
Mr.
That's
Put in
disgrace.
a complaint form, and if the
I'm
borough
not giving
manager
you a
doesn't
complaint
address it,
That's
then
it.
come to the council meeting and say,
He put in the
I put in a
paper,
complaint
you need
form
borough.
a month
That's
ago,
very
and nothing's
unique.
been taken care of yet.
All right,
Hey, he lives across the street.
okay.
What
You-
about-
let-
Why do
let's-
I have to?
Let's wait,
All right, now.
before we go crazy, let's,
What about
Yeah,
paint?
pretty
You guys
neat.
around?
yeah, that's what you should, that one Wolf Lynn, come on, take a look at it.
I mean, I
It's
saw
on the
them
streets,
down.
that's all you can run around.
All right,
You know, now, if somebody complains, tells those people, oh, Leon Stoll, they're in Second Street complaint. Not everybody here. And that, there isn't a person that rode down that street and looked at that and said, that's a disgrace. Now, there's other houses that aren't, you know, they're high, but it's the front of the house. I don't care if the yard is this high. If I lived next door to that guy, I would have cut grass.
we have been in
Now.
bad weather,
I think this borough,
you know, it has rained a million days, so.
rain,
Well,
my grass is cut.
My grass is not. And you guys are retired, if people work, they can only do it, my grass is
They don't
cut,
work.
But
One is disabled, the daughter-in-law whose husband committed suicide, is a severe asthmatic. She has already called the office and has said she's attempting to keep the grass cut when she is able.
You better hire some goats or sheep.
Well, Lee,
I
the
think
residents in the borough that are not able to maintain what they have.
to boot.
I think this borough ought to consider hiring another part-time guy, 4 hours a day, the whole year round. When it rains, tell me you don't have to work. But look at our ball field. They ain't cut it. But walk around the sidewalk. Walk down under the bridge. Grass is by the pole this high. Now, why should, I mean, he cut it. And I'm not blaming Dean. Don't get me wrong. Because he's got a lot on his table. But you should have somebody else
our summer
helping
help,
him and not worry about
our
him.
summer help is back, Leon.
Well, sure, yeah, because that looks,
Well, he's back today. He was
Yeah.
back today.
Okay, we gotta work on it.
motion to bring them back?
Oh, he's already back.
Shouldn't we make a motion to hire someone for summer help this year?
We already did.
I think we already, did we vote on that?
Yeah, temporary help. Anything else?
Tree Hargraves, 213 Second Street. I have some concerns. I don't want this to happen like it happened last July 4th. I know you can go over South Side and buy fireworks because it's legal in the state of Pennsylvania. But it was just ridiculous last July 4th, what I had to put up with. All of us.
But it's not
Blaze
just here.
Brown complained about it, Dave Schnauzer complained about it. They were shooting fireworks over my house, over my garage, in my yard, over my husband's car. Now, I think there's a law saying that it has to be 150 feet from any kind of dwelling. Well, my house, the property line is 2 feet from theirs. So there is no way that that's acceptable. And I will not put up with that this year.
Maybe we'll have,
Maybe we'll have police on patrol.
maybe we'll have a police department by then.
Because I believe.
You definitely got that one until the lights.
And I truly believe that it had rained before, all that stuff was, that soot or ash or whatever you want, was falling on my house.
There's 7,200 complaints from last year for that day. It's just not gonna get addressed.
Yeah, and that's
7,200 from the county to county.
Governor and down and all the boroughs and associate of boroughs said that it's out of control.
Well, then they need to do something about it. What if they burn my house down? Are you gonna pay for my new house?
I had nothing to do with the fireworks and enacting that. The sales tax that the extra tax that they're gating they're making big money for our state.
Like I said, I can send them a thing in the walls, but if you don't say who it is, then we
I'm
can't.
not. Hey, I will, because I'm not afraid of her.
I mean, this is your neighbor?
Right next door.
Have you talked to them about
You cannot talk to her, because every time I talk to her, she calls me an effing bitch.
Well, we'll talk to them.
No, that didn't go over well before. You need to stay out of it. You can't be the middleman here. Because I told her the next time she calls me an effing bitch, she's gonna go to court. And I tried to be a nice, pleasant neighbor, because I even said to my husband, they're both disabled. I said, you have a riding lawnmower, go over there and cut part of their grass for them. Just to be a good neighbor. And I don't have any problems with him.
You better ask for it. I can't just go cut somebody's grass.
Well, they plowed my snow and my sidewalk this winter, and I just wanted to reciprocate. But I'm not gonna put up with that, what I put up with last year, because all hell will break loose, and I mean it.
Any other public comment? Yes.
Nancy South, Second Street. Second Street, they came and put arrows on the road, reading the rule and stuff. Is there some construction or something?
Yeah, I talked to Dane, you talking about the corner of Keystone and Second?
Yeah, it comes down in front of the
Yeah, they
house.
put
I'm
on
just curious.
They put in a one call, they wanna get down to that pipe down there. I don't know when they're gonna, this is what Dane was telling me. The one call came in from the gas company, Dane went up and marked it, and at some point they're gonna dig up a valve or something.
Again? Gonna get it right this time?
I
I
hope
thought we were
so.
gonna have a peaceful summer this summer, not
You'll
like
have to
last
talk
year
to
or the
them.
summer before.
You guys can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I just.
You get a new street.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a comment. Down on June Smith, 93.5 Main Street, there's no like yellow divided line going down. There's a lot of times we come out of the driveway, our driveway, if there's no cars parked out front, they're driving right alongside the parking.
There used to be a line.
There used to be a line there, but like when we pull out, we come out very slow because the cars are driving. There's no cars for Donna and them with. They come right up alongside the driveway, like we almost clipped one.
So the line went away when they
When they resurfaced.
resurfaced?
Yeah.
Well,
State did it one time.
I'm gonna tell you about that line. I think they painted the line years ago, and there's some kind of a ruling whether that street is required to have a line or not. I could ask them tomorrow.
Mhm. But it is, they come like right, if there's no cars parked on Main Street, they'll come right drive along where cars should be parked, they're driving on that side.
Yeah, see, state roads are required to have it, but I'll double check on
Okay,
that.
thank you.
They came up a little ways underneath the truck
Yeah,
and
well-
let them stop at the hotel there.
Yeah.
When the lines were there, it was great.
Any other comments? You're gonna move to executive